See, here at Washington Park, or as the locals call it, Wash Park, most people already think they know the story, right? Pretty homes, big price tags, joggers going around the loop, dogs with a better social life than most people. But that surface level read misses the part that really gets people. The pull here is not just visual, it is lifestyle deep. It's how quickly life starts feeling better here. One lap around this loop, coffee at Wash Park over on South Emerson, you got stroller traffic over here at the park, and suddenly you're not just checking out the neighborhood. You're picturing better mornings, easier weekends, and a version of Denver that gets under your skin real fast. So before anybody gets swept up in it, the real test is fit. Does Washington Park actually fit your life? Or is it just the kind of place that is way too easy to fall for? You see, I had a buyer come into Wash Park, dead set on being practical. We were maybe 10 minutes into the showing, we stopped mid-walk. He looked toward the park and he goes, "Man, this is dangerous." And it's not because of the homes. It's not because of the price even. It's because he could already picture himself doing this loop around the park or swimming in the rec center pool here before work and calling this normal. See, that's actually the moment that this neighborhood wins. It's not flashy about it. It sneaks up on us. It feels polished but not stiff, active but not chaotic, expensive but still weirdly easy to romanticize. Once people stop touring it like buyers and start picturing their real life here, the whole conversation changes. Long before the trade-offs show up, the lifestyle is already making its case. See, although Wash Park used to be a middle-class neighborhood, it's now one of the more expensive areas in South Denver. So here's the split. Some buyers are chasing the biggest kitchen, the extra bedroom, and the most square footage they can squeeze out of their budget. Now, other buyers are paying attention to the walkability, quick access to the great amenities. Can they get a morning loop in without driving anywhere? Can they get to Cherry Creek or downtown without every dinner plan turning into a big haul? Can they grab something on South Gaylord or swing by South Pearl, get back home, and still feel like the day didn't just disappear? See, Wash Park usually wins with that second group, right? People stretch for it for a reason. And it's not because they forgot how math works. It's not because they want to flex and show their address off. They stretch because this place takes the friction out of ordinary life. As we mentioned, we got the 165-acre park that I'm sitting in right now, 2 ponds, 2.5-mile trail loop. You got a rec center, tennis courts, basketball courts, 2 big fields for volleyball. It shows that it's big enough to actually use. It's big enough to change routines. You throw in South Gaylord, you got nearby South Pearl, quick routes to downtown, solid access if work pulls you towards Cherry Creek or Denver Tech Center, and you start seeing why some buyers are paying more for than just the house. Wash Park is also not for everybody. So if your number one goal is max house for the money, there are better moves, I'll be honest. If you want brand new, low maintenance, zero quirks, there are easier options. If you love the fantasy of walkability and spend every weekday in the car, every weekend somewhere else, and you don't care whether the neighborhood around you actually gets used, then this can turn into a very expensive crush. So you might love the tree-lined block tour day, then you get annoyed by the crowds, the premium, or the fact that you're paying for a lifestyle that you're not really tapping into. So real talk, what are you taking? The bigger house or the neighborhood that actually upgrades your life? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I read every one of them. The buyers who really click with Wash Park are usually not reacting to one flashy feature. They're reacting to the whole stack. The loop before work, the easier dinner plan, the block that feels alive instead of shut down, the ability to be central without feeling buried in city chaos. A pretty specific person tends to light up here, and Wash Park lines up with that person better than most places in Denver. So the real test is not whether Wash Park looks good on a tour, it's whether your actual routine gets better here once the novelty wears off. And the fastest way to figure that out is to stop talking about the idea of the neighborhood and start looking at how people actually move through this every day. So real talk for a second. If you are not the kind of person who's actually going to use this park, then this place is pretty easy to romanticize and it won't make sense. But if you will, it starts making a ton of sense. You see, out-of-state buyers usually grab onto the park right away. Wash Park gives them a version of Denver that feels clear right away too. You got real character, movement built into the day, blocks where people are actually outside using the neighborhood instead of just pulling into a garage and disappearing. And if you are local, you already know the pool. Wash Park has a weird talent for making regular life feel a little bit more on point. See, if Wash Park is already sounding like your kind of move, don't just keep watching from a distance. I'm your local realtor of choice. And for people who are moving here and want real neighborhood insight, real strategy, and real help making this move, you can call, text, email me anytime. All my contact information is in the description below. Reach out and let's figure out whether Wash Park is actually the right fit for your move. The easiest way to understand Wash Park is to watch what happens here before most people are fully awake. You got the runners are already out at sunrise. Dog walkers acting like the morning just started an hour ago. The bikes are cutting through maybe maybe on their way to work, people grab a little bit of sun, clear their head, and squeeze something good out of the morning before the emails and meetings hijack the whole vibe of the day. Now you see the pattern quickly. This is not a neighborhood where the park is just nice to look at. It is nice to look at, but it gets used constantly, and that changes how life runs here. The bigger point is how many jobs the park covers without needing to announce itself. For example, Denver Parks and Rec shows Washington Park with a rec center. The city's tennis inventory lists 10 courts across the park, so nobody's leaning on just one feature to justify the whole premium here in this park. It can be your workout spot, your reset, your meetup spot, or the thing that breaks up a packed afternoon before it all slips away. Now, in a city where a lot of people are trying to force more balance into the week, this matters a lot. You can walk more, bike more, you can stay local more, you still drive when you don't need to. Nobody is pretending this is like some car-free fantasy here. But for short trips, workouts, meetups, and these little windows where most neighborhoods don't really give you that much, Wash Park gives you something useful. Now, a lot of people do not fully get that until they spend real time here. Now, you feel it across the week. You got weekdays, the neighborhood keeps things from slipping away. On weekends, some people barely even need to leave. You just get outside, go right to the park. The rec center's there. You can hang near the lakes, hit the courts, slide over to Devil's Food Bakery on South Gaylord for a coffee or something quick before the day just keeps on moving. That kind of stop nearby is why the routine here feels so easy to keep repeating. See, it's a different kind of luxury, not the loud kind, but the useful kind. And the park carries weight here because it's not decorative, it's infrastructure. It changes how often you get outside, how easy it is to be active, and how little effort it takes to have a solid day. A huge part of Wash Park's pull comes from how naturally it fits into the real life once you're here, but daily function is only part of that story. A place can run incredibly well and still have a very specific kind of energy once you actually live in it. Now, this is where Wash Park starts separating itself from even more. Some neighborhoods feel peaceful until they get boring. Others feel social until they get exhausting. This place somehow dodges both in this weird way. You pick up on that balance pretty quickly. It's not in some fake polished brochure kind of way either. The interior residential blocks have this settled exhale to them. Mature trees, older brick homes, streets that look lived in, not cycled through. Then you move closer to the park and drift maybe towards South Gaylord, and the energy picks up just enough. A lot of that comes from how rooted the neighborhood is. The website Niche estimates that homeowner occupancy is around 82% here, and honestly, you could tell without anybody reading a stat sheet, because people care here. The yards aren't trying to be too hard. They're not neglected either. See, the City and County of Denver neighborhood data puts that the population here is around 8,000. So this is not some tiny pocket with no life, but it also doesn't come off like overstuffed. Yeah, you got the South Gaylord district that I mentioned. It stretches between Mississippi and Tennessee. Explains why the social side stays compact, easy to use instead of sprawling all over the place. What really makes it work is a split between the quiet residential side and the social spillover. So South Gaylord Street brings that neighborhood buzz. South Pearl, even though it technically sits over in Platt Park, still lands in the lifestyle orbit for a lot of Wash Park people. So you get this mix where the neighborhood stays calm on the right block, but never disconnected. Social when you want it, but now loud by default. Let's be honest, get too close to the park on the wrong day and yeah, it could get pretty busy. That's part of the deal though. So most of the time though, the balance holds here. This is also where the day versus night contrast really earns its keep. During the day, the whole area comes off outdoorsy, active, put together in a way that feels natural, not curated. At night, you got South Gaylord and nearby dining pockets that pick up. Patios get fuller, the neighborhood gets a little more social, still doesn't trip into chaos. You have life around you without feeling like you signed up to live inside the park. And that is why this place connects with such a wide mix of people without getting watered down. Some want breathing room, others want social rhythm. Some like that it's central without feeling swallowed up by the city. Others just respond to the fact that it still feels human, not sterile, not overbuilt, not trying to cosplay cool. What makes the atmosphere here hard to replicate is that most neighborhoods only nail one of the strong traits. Wash Park gives you a blend. It's a lot tougher to fake. But the atmosphere by itself does not do all the heavy lifting. The little places people actually use every week are what turn that feeling into a real lifestyle. That's where the neighborhood gets even more interesting. Yeah, the big park gets all the attention. It's kind of like our Central Park here of Denver, right? The places around it are what make this neighborhood easy to live in though. Wash Park's pool lives in the smaller stuff, not the flashy feature, not some giant entertainment district, just useful spots that are close, compact, easy to fold into the normal week. As I mentioned, Old South Gaylord, which is small footprint, but that's exactly why it works. It doesn't sprawl out, doesn't make you build your whole evening around it either. You can grab coffee and pastries at Devil's Food Bakery, do an easy dinner at Homegrown Tap and Dough or La Perdida, and get right back into your life without the whole night turning into a production. Denver's 300 plus days rays of sunshine moniker matters here because patios and casual outdoor plans are not some occasional bonus. They become a part of how people actually use this neighborhood. See, these conditions give these spots more weight. Low effort, social plans get a whole lot easier. Then you have South Pearl, which again, technically belongs over in Platt Park. But anybody who lives here actually knows that those lines get pretty fuzzy real fast. Wash Park starts feeling bigger than the map really shows you. You're not just buying access to one park and one nice street. You're actually stepping into this compact little orbit of places that help the week move better. Of course, I mentioned Old South Gaylord gives you the polished neighborhood buzz, but you got South Pearl over there to the south that gives you more range, a little bit more spillover, another place to land when you want some life without driving across half the city. It has Sushi Den over there, for example. It sits on South Pearl. It's been a go-to for decades, which is exactly why the corridor feels like part of the real lifestyle radius for Wash Park homeowners. It's not just a nearby bonus. The park is the headline. These nodes keep the neighborhood from feeling flat. They rescue random weekdays. They save you from overthinking simple plans and make the area feel like more than just one big attraction with houses around it, right? You pick up on it pretty quickly. Home, work, then a few easy places in between that make life less clunky. The premium starts making a lot more sense once you see that. A giant park is great. A giant park plus places that actually use every single weekday where the whole life starts feeling real? Of course, all that charm gets tested the second you move from the streets and the nodes to the actual houses. Wash Park can absolutely win you over outside. The homes are where people either get sold or they start seeing the trade-offs really clearly. The streets and the park sell the dream, but the houses are where Wash Park starts checking your priorities. Now, at this point, the neighborhood stops being a feeling and becomes an ownership decision. That's where it gets real. For example, Denver Public Library's Neighborhood History Guide traces a huge chunk of these homes starting and being built between 1900 and 1940, which is why you see these brick two-doors, the Denver squares, the craftsman bungalows, and the period cottages that give the area its backbone. None of it feels copy and pasted or cookie cutter. It looks like it belongs here. Even the updated properties usually still carry that older structure underneath, and that is a big reason that East Wash Park and West Wash Park do not come off like this interchangeable parts of the city. The quiet prestige hits in a very specific way. Not loud money, not giant entry look-at-me energy, more like a mature tree canopy, a brick facade that still lands, and a block that feels established before you ever walk inside. But once you do walk inside, the story can split fast. One place gives you a beautiful original character and a layout that still works. The next gives you charm up front, then smaller closets, tighter garages, basement quirks, and a floor plan that starts asking for patience real quick. Buyers get tested here. Charm is real, but the charm can also talk people into ignoring expensive stuff. Denver's specific ownership math matters here. The Colorado insurance reality around hail and wind is already a factor. We've talked about it in other videos. And with older homes, sewer lines, drainage, roofing, windows, aging systems are not side notes. They're part of the deal. Our ownership cost research points to around 1 to 3% annual reserve depending on age and condition. In a neighborhood like Wash Park, that's not just some throwaway number. That's how small issues stop becoming bigger ones. Newer homes do not automatically solve everything either. The pop tops, scrape and rebuilds, and higher end infill can give you better kitchens, cleaner layouts, and less short-term maintenance, sure. But then the trade-off becomes that price, taxes, and whether the place still gives you the reason you wanted to move to Wash Park in the first place. So sometimes the newer option is easier. Sometimes it feels like it could sit in 5 other neighborhoods and nobody would know the difference. All right, so I want to know from you. Pick your poison. Do you want that old school charm and some house drama, or turnkey and easy with a little less soul? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. Now, what makes the housing here worth talking about is how differently people read the exact same property. Once a buyer sees character worth keeping, the other sees weekends getting hijacked by projects. Neither one is wrong. And once that clicks, the next question gets a lot more serious, because now it's not just about what the home looks like. It's about what people are actually paying for here in Wash Park and why the numbers here can separate real quickly. The price tag in Wash Park doesn't really hit until you realize how little of it is just the house. In this neighborhood, the same budget can buy 2 completely different experiences. Now, you're not only buying square footage, you're buying the block, the park access, the tree canopy, the neighborhood name, and how easy it is to plug into a version of Denver people move here hoping to find. A number can look nuts on paper, then feel a lot less crazy once you're standing on the right street. Recent sales have landed around $1.475 million at the median, with sold pricing near $595 a square foot. East Wash Park is priced higher, with a median price in the $1.8 million range. West Wash Park has a lower median sitting around $1.2 million. The homes don't sit on the market long here either. The median days on market sits around 15 days. So So Wash Park is not one of those neighborhoods where you can punch in the address, glance at the square footage, and just call it a day. The asking price, the actual close price, and the neighborhood pool are all wrestling with each other. Now, the money is chasing something real here, though. You have mature blocks that matter. You've got legacy homes that matter. The park access, of course, matters. Spots like South Gaylord, like we mentioned, a quiet interior block on East Wash Park can make that premium feel completely justified. Take that same budget, push it a little closer to a busier edge, tack on some deferred maintenance, and suddenly it feels like a very different conversation. Same neighborhood, very different read, though. Wash Park is not really a bargain hunter play, let's be honest. Yeah, you can get more house elsewhere. There's no argument there. But people are not coming here to win the square footage competition. They're coming here because this version of Denver is hard to duplicate. West Wash Park can hit differently than East Wash Park. One buyer loves being closer to the park because it feels like the whole point. Another sees foot traffic, parking headaches, and more activity than they wanted. Same money, different reaction. You could feel it in how the market behaves too. In some recent snapshots, sale to list ratios have hovered around 100.5%, with roughly 21.9% of homes selling over asking price. This is not one of those markets where every listing gets blessed just because the zip code sounds good. A well-updated house on the right block can move quickly. A dated place, an ambitious seller, or a house with awkward compromises can sit there and get judged in real time. Local read matters way more than Zillow swagger. Sometimes the number is high because of the neighborhood name only. Other times, the lot, the block, the condition, and the lifestyle access are doing a ton of heavy lifting. I've seen the same general budget feel smart on one street and shaky 3 blocks over. Wash Park gets you in the room. The exact location and product decide whether the price feels sharp or a little sloppy. And the next question is better anyway. Not just is Wash Park worth it, more like compared to what? Because once you start thinking that way, you stop chasing the headline and start figuring out which part of Denver actually fits the life you want. The smarter question is not whether Wash Park is good, it's whether you actually need what Wash Park is charging for. Once the broader metro is sitting around $590,000 on home prices, Wash Park is landing closer to 1.5 mil, you're not choosing between small differences anymore. You're choosing between completely different ownership experiences. And at that point, buyers have to stop getting hypnotized by the famous name and get honest about what they actually want. If your ideal setup is being central, walking out to a neighborhood with some real identity, and feeling plugged into Denver without needing a whole production, Wash Park absolutely belongs on this list. But plenty of buyers say they want Wash Park when really they only want one piece of it. Maybe they want the trees. Maybe they want the walkability. Maybe they just want a place that feels established instead of brand new and generic. But here's where the side-by-side gets useful. For example, Platt Park works well for buyers who like the neighborhood energy, the local spots, and the fact that you can step out for a dinner or drink without making the whole night a project. City Park hits a little bit differently. You got more urban, more edge, more city right in your face. So when somebody says they love Wash Park, part of the real job is figuring out whether they love Wash Park itself or whether they just want a central neighborhood with some actual life around it. Now, then you move further west. Go to an area like Lakewood or down south like Littleton or up north like Arvada. Those usually land better for people who want easier parking, less compressed day-to-day setup, fewer old house surprises, and more room to spread out. Maybe school drop-off feels a little simpler. Maybe you're not spending your weekend dealing with an older home issue you didn't really ask for. Maybe you just want a driveway, a quieter block, and a house that doesn't come with much emotional negotiation. It's not better, it's just a different deal. Then you have places like Westminster and Broomfield, totally different flavor, a little less brick charm, less iconic neighborhood pool, but the buyer who wants a newer feel, more predictability, and a smoother ownership experience, those areas can hit a little bit harder. So you may give up some of the character and walkability when you go up there, sure, but you gain a setup that asks less from you. The real sorting mechanism is pretty simple. So go ahead and be honest in the comments. Are you taking character and centrality or easy parking, easier ownership, and more space? Some people want the park, the history, and the central Denver feel. Other people want easier mornings, simpler parking, less house drama, and a place that does not turn every ownership decision into a debate. When the price gap between the broader metro and Wash Park is getting that wide, getting the answer wrong can be expensive real fast. See, we cover so many different neighborhoods for exactly that reason. The goal is not to push people toward the obvious name. It's to help them figure out whether Wash Park is truly their spot or whether what they really wanted was Platt Park, City Park, Berkeley, Highlands, even further out into Lakewood, Littleton, Arvada, maybe Westminster, Broomfield. Look at it this way. The last question gets a whole lot sharper. Not whether Wash Park is popular, we already know it is. It's not whether it's expensive, we know that it is too. Whether it's actually earning the hype for the person that it fits best. The people who think Wash Park is overhyped usually want something completely different. A huge slice of what makes this place hit the way it does came out of the 1900 to 1940 run. You could see the way these brick homes, mature blocks, and the fact that the neighborhood still feels like it has some bones to it. They fold into spots like South Gaylord over on South Emerson, South Pearl, plus real weekly places like Devil's Food Bakery, Wash Park over on South Emerson. The picture gets pretty clear. Wash Park is not built for people who want to hide from the neighborhood around them. It's built for people who actually use it and walk through it. And the stakes are real because, as we know, with the median price being close to $1.5 million, it's not an affordable place to live for everybody. At that number, you don't get to be fuzzy about what you're buying. You're either paying for a place that matches how you actually live, or you're paying top dollar for somebody else's version of a great life. Now, late in the game, here's the real question. Are you buying the name, or are you buying the way you would actually live here every week? Go ahead and drop it in the comments. I want to hear from you. So here is the verdict. Wash Park is not universally worth it. It's specifically worth it for the person who wants character, central location, and a neighborhood they will actually use. It absolutely earns a reputation. For the person chasing pure square footage, simpler ownership, or more stripped down setup, the smarter move may be elsewhere. Now, the only thing left is what to actually do with all of this. If you're seriously thinking about Denver, Wash Park or one of the other neighborhoods that might fit you even better. Wash Park is not expensive because people are confused. It's expensive because the right people keep deciding the lifestyle is absolutely worth it. At this point, you've seen the rhythm, you've seen the homes, the numbers, and the trade-offs. Now, it really comes down to what you want to do with that information. See, I've had buyers walk through Wash Park and they knew immediately it matched what they wanted in their lifestyle. I've also had people come in convinced that this was the answer from day one, but then they realized pretty quickly that they wanted easier parking, fewer house projects, more updated homes, a little more square footage. So that's why assumptions can cost you here. In a neighborhood this specific and this expensive, picking wrong is not just annoying, it can cost you real time, real money, and a whole lot of second guessing. See, if you're buying, selling, relocating, or just trying to figure out which Denver area actually fits your life, call, text, email me anytime. All my information is down below in the description. The end screen gives you both paths from here, our contact information if you're serious, and the next Denver playlist if you're still comparing neighborhoods. So I invite you to subscribe to the channel. There will be more neighborhood videos to come, so stay tuned. And hey, I thank you for spending time with me today. I'll catch you on the next one.